Silent Night, Deadly Night might just look like another generic holiday slasher, but trust me, this thing throws you curveballs you will not see coming. I really enjoyed the movie. What could have been a generic, gory slasher ended up being a bold, surprising, and memorable movie. If you're tired of slashers that just feel the same, this one does so much more creatively than it needed to. So today I'm going to give you my spoiler for your review of Silent Night, Deadly Night. Let me know what you thought about the movie down in the comments, and if you've seen the original, which one of those did you prefer more? Like I mentioned earlier, this is a remake of a 1980s slasher classic. When it came out, it was actually really controversial. People did not enjoy the fact that they saw this guy dressing up as Santa and committing all of these crimes. Very controversial, but a classic. The movie stars Rowan Campbell as Billy. When he was a kid, he saw his parents taken out by a guy in a Santa costume. Pretty traumatizing, and then years later, he's doing the same exact thing. Now, the movie does give off this really generic vibe right at the beginning. We see this kid go through this traumatic event, and he grows up and starts doing the same thing that he saw happen to his parents. Very, we get it. We understand the trauma that happened and why he might be doing what he's doing. Doesn't make it right, but we understand what he's doing, right? So that's where the movie starts. And it slowly turns into something much, much more creative. We've seen it done before, but it comes out of nowhere. And I love that about this movie. That's one of my favorite things about Silent Night, Deadly Night is that they go in this bold, crazy direction that may not work for some people. I will admit, it may not work for some people, but for me, it was a great risk with a great reward. And I do think that this movie could have survived on its own outside of the Christmas setting. I think that the Christmas setting itself really elevates the tragedy that we see Billy go through while also elevating the horror elements. And whenever you have that mix of gore and horror mixed in with Christmas, it just feels wrong. And I love that. And this movie at its core is a Christmas slasher horror movie. It never backs away from that. But it does go in really creative different areas. There's a scene in the movie where it just completely does a 180. You're not expecting where this scene is headed. It goes there and it could have derailed this entire movie straight off the tracks because it does feel like a very drastic tonal shift going to, I'm going to give you an example, Kingsman status. If you've seen Kingsman, it does something kind of similar there and it just comes out of nowhere and it works. Somehow, some way they made that work tonally with what they were doing before. So the movie does a lot to keep you engaged throughout the entire runtime, whether it's why Billy's doing what he's doing, who's doing this over here. There's a lot of mystery involved, which keeps it really exciting. I will say though that the third act does come up very quickly and end pretty quickly. So it feels like there wasn't an actual end goal of this movie necessarily, and they just kind of had to throw something at the end to really kind of tie it all together. It's not bad, but the third act I feel like is the weakest. Now, Rowan Campbell got a lot of backlash on his character Corey in Halloween Ends, and I completely understand. I'm one of those people that had a lot of issue with Corey. But in this movie, Rowan Campbell kills it as Billy. Just give him the right role and he's gonna nail it. And I hope that he gets more roles in horror after this one. But yeah, as far as Billy goes in this, he plays this very complex character, which they don't give you all the information right away. So you're kind of left guessing what his motives are. Why is he doing what he's doing? What's forcing him to do what he's doing? And I just love that he's this character that's doing the slashing that you are rooting for. I think it's very complex. I think it's fun, and I wish that more slashers took that risk. The other main character of this movie is Pam, played by Ruby Modine, and I really didn't like this character at first. I'll be honest with you. I didn't really care for who she was, what she was doing in the story, but by the end of the movie, I thought she was fine. She doesn't do anything to elevate the story in my opinion, but she was there to play the love interest and a pretty important role for the entire movie. But by the end, I thought she was fine. And there is actually another lead character in this movie, but I'm not going to say much about him because he plays a very integral part to the story. Spoilers, all that good stuff. But I will say, when you see the movie, you'll know who I'm talking about. He stole the movie. He stole every scene that he was in almost every time with the things that he says, the situations that they were in, and how he kind of played off of those. Loved this mysterious third character. Hey everyone, I'm going to interrupt the review just for a second to remind you about Movie Club Monday. Every first Monday of the month, we go live to talk about the film that we picked together the month before. It's completely free and it's a great way to connect with fellow movie lovers. I hope to see you there. Let's get back to the review. Since this movie is a remake of an old 80s slasher movie, it does feel like they took a lot of inspiration from that, which they should, but I'm talking about visually. The visuals on here look pretty clean and crisp as far as a modern horror movie goes, but there's little subtle hints at the grainy feel of the original, and they implement it well here. It's not in your face, it doesn't, take up the entire screen for long durations, but there are parts in this movie where you get that feel of an 80s slasher vibe with the music, with the visuals, things like that. And I think they use it in a really creative and very, intricate way. And the score for Silent Night, Deadly Night didn't really do anything for me. I thought it was fine. It didn't really raise or lower the tension of any of the scenes that I was watching. It was just fine. There has been better in the horror genre, but this one is just fine. And at its core, Silent Night, Deadly Night really does delve into trauma. It delves into family dynamics. It delves into a lot of things that people deal with around the holidays. So I really did like that aspect of it. And I feel like that could also be viewed as cliche for a lot of the stuff. And I think it kind of is. But like I said, the direction that they go with all of that, the direction that they take is bold, it's creative, it's risky as hell. But I feel like it all comes together in a really nice, complete package. So having said that, if you are a fan of the original Silent Night, Deadly Night, I urge you to go check this out with an open mind. It does things that the original does that you're going to enjoy, but it also takes creative risks to make it stand apart and feel unique as far as a remake goes, but also as a Christmas slasher. Now, as far as what worked for the movie, there were constant curveballs that kept the film so unpredictable and really engaging. You had Rowan Campbell's standout performance as Billy. The dude knocked it out of the park. You had that secret third character that just really elevated every scene that they were in. The Christmas setting definitely enhances both horror and tragedy that this movie is built completely around. And the creative risks were some of the best creative risks that I've seen in a horror movie that actually paid off. And as far as what didn't work for me for this movie is every other character outside of Billy and that secret third character. They just didn't really add anything to the story that was actually fun. And the third act just felt a little bit rushed compared to the rest of the movie and didn't really feel like they had an actual end goal, and they kind of tacked it on at the end. Now, this movie could have easily been awful, but the creative swings that they use in this movie pay off in a really big way. It's a fun, surprising, memorable slasher with way more personality than most modern entries in the genre have. If you love slashers, you're going to enjoy this, but if you're tired of the generic slasher, you're going to enjoy it even more. And once again, everyone, make sure you drop your thoughts on Silent Night, Deadly Night down in the comments, because this thing is going to be controversial, but I'd love to talk to you all about that. And if you want to check out more horror content, make sure you check out this video right here. Thank you again for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.